All right, welcome in, everyone. Welcome to Matchday Minus One. For the last time in the MLS regular season, we are here at St. David's. Matchday Minus One, brought to you by PointsBet, founding partner of Austin FC. Another founding partner of Austin FC, right with me, Sonny G. Sonny G in the house.
Founding partner, almost.
Hey, we've been here right from the start. It feels emotional, doesn't it, to be reaching the end of year two.
End of year two, but with important games still at hand.
Maybe it's just the start of the next big adventure. Let's hope. Let's hope indeed. We're back doing more of these shows well into November. But what we have in front of us this Sunday is the finale. Let's just call it that. Colorado Rapids coming to Q2, the home closer. What's top of your mind looking at how the team, where they're at, where they've been at recently, how they approach this kind of task and test ahead of them on Sunday? It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's just like this kind of netherworld. It's neither here nor there. We're not in the playoffs yet. Colorado don't have much to play for themselves.
But I think just as a professional player, Colorado's going to try and put their best foot forward.
Yeah.
I think we're in a great position that we don't have to worry about this last game. I think there's a lot of teams still fighting for those spots. So that being said, I think this is a dress rehearsal for what's to come. And I think the team needs to prove to themselves and just get the confidence up because it's such a big game what's coming up, and it's just a one and done.
Yeah.
So for me, this dress rehearsal is very important.
Yeah, it's odd, Sonny, just looking back at just the last month and a half. I almost feel like we're in some ways being punished for our great start to the season, the great first 2/3 of the year, getting points in the bank that we needed, essentially qualifying for the playoffs well ahead of time. Okay, we didn't actually mathematically qualify until mid-September, but we knew we were there. As soon as we reached that 48-point mark, Sonny, and you know when that was? After that 4-3 win against Sporting Kansas City. That was back on August the 13th. We've essentially known since then that we're in the playoffs. So in some ways, we've kind of been victims of our own success, haven't we?
But you'd rather take that
Yes.
than be with, like, on the chopping block the last game of the season. So I think the team overall has done a fantastic job beating some of the best teams in the league, putting on great performances, comeback wins down players. So I think they've proven that they're able to come out kind of in any situation and still get the 3 points. So I think just maybe Josh needs to like make a highlight video of all these successes and just show it to them over and over again and be like, guys, this is who you are. This is what you've done all season. One game to get ready, and then the show begins.
Yeah. So you think from a playing perspective, a coaching perspective, this is very much you put the same team you're hoping to start the following week out there against Colorado.
You have to. I think there's no doubt in my mind that Josh will put his starting 11 out on the field, even though you're not playing for anything. I think you're just playing just to get ready for that game.
Yeah.
So I think whoever we see on the field is more than likely going to be the starting 11 for the first playoff game.
Yeah. You sense a little bit of angst amongst the fan base just at how recent results have gone, and you know, as a player, that's why I bring up this kind of never world we've been inhabiting for a few weeks. Because as a player, when you know you've basically achieved your number one goal, which is to qualify for the playoffs, you know that it's very hard, isn't it, to replicate full competitive intensity in games that follow, and you don't have to drop by much of a percentage, do you?
It is hard, and I think the MLS just makes it harder because the amount of games, the amount of time. Seems like we've been here 3 years, and it's only been one season worth of games that we've had this season, and we're just working the games. We're not traveling with the team. We're not day in and day out on the grind. So the grind is real, and I think it is hard for a player to just maintain that, even the coaching staff.
Yeah.
So I think now, hopefully, they're able to change that, knowing what position we're in.
Yeah. You know what I latch onto as a big source of optimism? People saying, well, can you turn it back on for the playoffs? Can you go from this mentality to a do or die mentality? They have turned it on over this stretch of the final 8 games when they've really needed to, when the stakes have been high. LAFC at home, part of that run. The second half against RSL at home, when we still needed a clincher playoff, came out and turned it on. So there's been evidence that it's still there, that magic we had for the first 2/3 of the season. Because I do sense some angst out there. Well, can we just turn that tap back on when it becomes do or die in the playoffs?
I mean, and I think the playoffs are just a different game.
Yeah.
I think you're just way more alert. Your adrenaline's pumping a lot more. And I think the fact that Austin gets to host at least the first game definitely helps. The stadium's going to be electric. And I think that feeling positively towards us and maybe negatively towards the team that has to come in to Q2 Stadium.
Yeah. I'm going to get your thoughts on what lies ahead at the weekend after this one. But let's look a little bit about the opponent coming to Q2 Stadium on Sunday, the Colorado Rapids. Evidence right there on page one of how quickly things can change in this league, Sonny, because a lot of people forget Colorado Rapids won the Western Conference last year. They were the LAFC of last year in the West, finished number one, didn't do them much good in the playoffs because they lost first time out after having a bye, and the team hasn't changed that much this year, has it? And yet they've fallen well down the pecking order. They were eliminated from the playoffs a couple of weeks ago,
but then go out and beat Dallas.
Right.
So it's you can't I don't think you can judge any team, especially not in the MLS. They have good players still on the field, and I think maybe it might be towards their advantage that there is no pressure left for the players, and they can just play freely, knowing that whatever happens, nothing really happens.
Yeah.
So sometimes that benefits the player even more.
That could go two ways, can't it? So we're not quite sure what to expect from the Rapids. And, you never know what the individual motivation is in each of those players.
Their
maybe
contract might be
maybe
up.
some players playing for contracts or, to one last chance to impress Robin Fraser and stick around. So, but they don't have any weight on their shoulders in terms of...
but neither do we at the same time. So hopefully... they still put on a show, and for us, I think more so Colorado is just us gaining that confidence back, putting a strong performance on the field.
Well, we've beaten them twice in Denver now. Think about that. First ever team goal and victory on the road a year ago, and then July 4th, we were actually sat in this building calling the game, and that game. The 3-2 win encapsulated so much of Austin's season, didn't it? Another one of those, went 2-0 down early, came storming back, and came away with a 3-2 win at the end.
The ones that your heart was just coming out of your mouth before the game ends.
Yeah. The thing I remember about that game, July 4th most, was John Gallagher's balls into Ethan Finley first and then Sebastian Drusi for the two goals that got us back into it.
Cut in and play with the right foot.
Oh. And Michael Barrios missing an absolute sitter.
That is true.
At the end.
I do remember that as well.
So I don't know if we can read anything into the away games. We've only played them once before, ever, at home. And that was a narrow and pretty undeserved, actually, 1-0 defeat at the tail end of last year, I think. So would be nice, wouldn't it? Just to get a good, solid, dynamic victory and get those juices flowing again
with a lot of goals
heading into the following week.
A lot of scoring opportunities.
Yes. Well, we had plenty of scoring opportunities last week. Just getting back to taking them at home would be great. Let me test the temperature of what on the English side we call the Lahoud mood. On the Spanish side we always call Sonny's sentimiento. Just your general mood heading in, not specifically maybe to this game, but you can make it that way if you want, but just your more general feeling at the moment for the Verde and Black.
I mean, I'm feeling good. I think I got to step away a little bit from the recent results and kind of look at the big picture and just realize the job that they've done, really like a transformation, a night and day transformation from last year. And the amount of points that they were able to put up this season, the amount of goals they've been able to score, the amount of great moments, not only for us as commentators, but for the fans at Q2, away from Q2, in DC United when it was pouring rain and people were there. Yeah. I think just the great moments that the team's been able to put up. So I'm excited for these last two games, and hopefully it's not the last two games. Hopefully it goes beyond those two games.
Right. Sonny Sentimiento. You can always hear it on the Spanish broadcast. Same again this weekend. Let me get your sense of. Oh, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. You just reminded me. Triggered this old brain to remind you of the fact that we still have one essential thing that we can achieve this Sunday. A win will put us as the side that have made the biggest improvement ever, year one to year two. We're only a point off tying that record, so a point would level the record. A win would mean no one has ever done better in terms of a year one to year two improvement, which is certainly something to celebrate, isn't it?
And very possible.
Yes, yeah. So that record, by the way, still belongs to Chivas USA way back in...
who's that team?
2005. There's some other Chivas team that I think they thought...
Somewhere around the world.
I think they thought they were copying. Let me ask you this, Sonny. Now we will get ahead of ourselves and look past the Colorado game because we know we're going to be number 2 seeds. Who do you want, with all the permutations this weekend, who do you want to end up as number 7 and be our first playoff opponent the following week? It's a choice of about 5 teams that can make it, 5 or 6.
It's a difficult question. I think based on how we've played them in the past and what I think we can do if we end up playing them at home, I think I'd rather play against Minnesota.
Yeah. I'm right with you on that one. With maybe RSL just slightly ahead of them or level 2. Those are my 2 favorite opponents, RSL and or Minnesota.
I think it's a team that if we're able to score early,
yeah,
we can put up a couple of goals.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, all the teams I think are competitive. But if it was just one team that I'd choose, I think it'd be Minnesota. And I think it would be huge if the team was able to get past that first game.
Right. And you'd have to send someone to meddle with Emmanuel Reynoso during the week, kidnap him or something like that. Because he's the one you would worry about for Minnesota, obviously.
We could send somebody to the hotel, make some noise. Very Latin American style.
I will say this. There's one scenario that not a lot of people are considering that I think is actually a real possibility this week. As you look at, the who's playing who in the do or die games and the matchups on decision day. I look at that Portland RSL game and think Portland are the better team. They could go there and win quite easily. I think Minnesota are a slightly better team than Vancouver. They could win that game. If those 2 things happen, they'll both move up. Guess who's sitting just above them? Nashville have to go to LAFC. Wouldn't be a stretch of the imagination to suggest Nashville could lose that. Those 3 things happen. Those boys in goal will be sinking down to number 7 and coming back here to Q2 Stadium. I'm not sure we want that, but I could see that happening, absolutely.
At least we're well familiar with them.
Yes.
Another Nashville game.
Yeah, and let's face it, we are due to beat them, so maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing at all. Actually, one more thing I wanted to get to, just to get your brief thoughts on the Leagues Cup announcement late this week. We knew it was coming, but now we see it set out in stone. A month next summer. MLS, Liga MX, all 47 clubs involved. Your thoughts on what is going to be something truly unique?
I think it's awesome. I think the more games... Well, I say that, and the season's already long enough.
Yeah.
Not as a player, but as a fan, to be able to play against the teams in Mexico, full strength. It's not like they're not friendly games. There's something that you can actually win towards. I think it's going to be awesome. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
It's going to build just even more rivalry leading up to the next World Cup.
Yeah. 15 groups of 3. The winners, top 2 from each group, go through to a knockout round of 32. Going to make it like a mini World Cup. The first time it's ever been done between 2 different leagues in world history of the
3
game.
countries,
Yeah.
2 different leagues, competitively.
Yeah. So lots to look forward to with the Leagues Cup next summer. We'll finish with a moment of gratitude this week. We always like to shine a light on different sides of the club that you may not be that aware of. How about the Austin FC equipment staff this week? Namely, Andrew Roberts, Rodrigo Ayala, through 18 road trips this season. They've kept the players fitted with everything they need to be successful, and they've been so successful on the road. They play an integral role in setting up training each day as well. Logistical hurdles, you know it, Sonny.
Yeah.
You've seen what these guys do at a pro level.
They don't sleep. They don't. And getting ready for trips and having to get to the airport like 10 hours before the team and making sure all the uniforms, the cleats are clean, everything, getting to the stadium way before the game even starts. It's a job that not a lot of people I think would want to do, but I think definitely deserve the shout out to them.
And part of what makes a team successful on the road or not.
Yeah.
You know. So some of those 8 wins this year certainly down to those two. Thanks so much for that. And Sonny, thanks for being with me for the last Matchday Minus one of the year. All of us will be on board for the final pre-game show of the year on Sunday. Well, got a couple little special items lined up for you on the pre-game show. Some of the favorite moments of the year, special guest or two, a very special guest during the broadcast itself, and teaser. Sonny and Roger getting to get out there and bang the drum in front of the supporters.
Got to work out, make sure I'm on.
Been in training?
Yeah, we're in Roger. We like FaceTime each other, and we're trying to like clap at the same time, make sure we get it right.
Yeah, me and Michael, when we did it, we were like, we had it, and then a couple of times. It's tough actually to hit that drum at the same time.
It's not easy. Yeah, that's why we've been practicing. We'll be fine.
All right, going to put us to shame. Great stuff, everyone. We'll see you Sunday afternoon in the stadium or on the TV. We're on the CW coverage starting at 3:30. We'll talk to you then.